But Guy, I mean, you were born in Klang here in
Yes.
Malaysia, right? And you migrated to Australia when you were 6 years old. Do you still
I
have
was.
family here?
There's still family there. Yeah, yeah. I've still got quite a few relatives that are still there, but a lot of them have moved. Yeah, and yeah, most of them are in Melbourne. Some are in Adelaide. Like I've got aunties and uncles, and then my parents are actually still in Adelaide, and they've been boasting my I've got one brother, so I've got there's four boys all up. One brother, he's left in Adelaide, and they've got zero coronavirus cases, and he's always rubbing it in our face.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from your time here in Malaysia?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like even on the recent trip I went back to my school, I had a bit of a I had a weird time at school. I have kind of like messed up memories of my school because I had this really strict teacher, and I was weirdly, I'm brown skinned now, but when I was a kid I was white. Like I had more of my mum's side, and I had almost like blondie hair, like kind of like blonde, really light colored hair, and it was dead straight, and so it was so odd. I looked quite a bit different. And I remember, I don't think the teacher liked me at all. And I couldn't speak any Bahasa, like I couldn't speak Malay. My mum and dad just never raised us speaking Malay, um, and so I remember the teacher just didn't like me, and so I went back on a recent trip to Simpang Lima, which is in Klang. It's the school that I went to in Klang, and brought back all these memories, and of course of that teacher that didn't like me, but also all the good memories, and where I used to, when you're a kid, you've got these memories where everything is so big. I remember going past the street I used to live on, and I remember the drain that we used to play in. We used to play in the drain out the back of the house, and in my mind, it was like the Ninja Turtles, like under a big sewer or something. And I saw it recently, and it's this tiny little small drain. So, yeah, look, it was good to get back and just to, I guess, see where I used to eat, and where I used to hang out, and some of my childhood.
Now let's talk about music. Now, you were involved in music ever since you were a child. Did you
Mm.
start playing music here when you were here in Malaysia?
Look, my mum's got some photos of when I was like in kindergarten and stuff, and and I was always singing, and I was always musical. I remember my love for music started at my auntie's house, and that's where my daddy was. My grandma was. I just have these vivid memories of her. She would always be cooking out the back, and then my auntie had this stereo system, and it was amazing. And you could. I remember sitting by the stereo system, and I would tune into different radio stations, and I heard R&B for the first time at my auntie's house, and I was like, what is this? Like, this is incredible music, like soul music. And then yeah, I remember buying my first record in Malaysia. It was New Kids on the Block.
Wow.
I think I
Wow.
still have that.
Yes, and that was the first record just before I moved to Australia. That was my first ever album, and yeah. So I've got look. I started pretty young, and then when I moved to Australia, I was in school. I started singing, and that was it. Like I remember being really nervous, and at that point, I only really played sport. So all of like my male friends only kind of knew me as a sportsman and not a musician. And then I remember I was so nervous to sing because I thought, oh, what's all the boys gonna think, of me singing? And I sung, that and I know you're shining down on me from
Right, right.
heaven. One sweet day. I
Yeah.
remember singing that at school. And when I looked up at the end, there was like a whole bunch of people with teary eyed, and they were crying, and some of the teachers were crying. I think that was the moment I knew maybe I should pursue it. Unless, of course, they were crying because I sucked. But um,
At what age was that when you performed that song?
that was I was in grade, oh gosh. was in grade 8, I think grade 9, maybe grade 9. So, yeah, grade 9. So I was probably 14 years old or something. And yeah, I was an idiot at school. Like I was a clown. I was a class clown. I would always crack gags. And I remember the minute I started singing, it was kind of the first time I had girls interested in me at school, because I was always an idiot. I was just a clown, and then suddenly I started singing, and a few girls asked me on some dates, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm onto something here.
So at that point, nobody knew that you had that in you. You had that talent in you.
No, not really. No, because I sort of sung a little bit at church, but not really, not in public. No, that was kind of the first time that people kind of, yeah, gave me confidence to keep doing it. And then obviously that was it. Then at that point, then I would sit, and this is no joke, I would sit by the radio for like 6 hours every night, at least 6 hours, and then on weekends all day. And I would just like copy all my favorite singers, like Boyz II Men and Brian McKnight and Eric Benet and all these R&B singers, Stevie Wonder, like, and then all these old school soul singers. I would copy every little trick they would do, and I would master it. And so, they might do I mean, imagine my family, right? Imagine my parents. I'll hear like a, oh, 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 like a trick like that, right? Wanye might sing, and I would sit by the radio, like doing it slowly. Oh, 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 and then I'd get faster. Oh, 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 like just faster and faster. Imagine being at home living with that. It's torture. But anyway, that's my love for music was just insane, and so I just kept practicing and practicing, and yeah.
The big question is, what do your sports friends think of that?
Oh, I didn't do it in front of them. I think they would have thought I was a bit crazy or on drugs or something. But look, I was pretty much the same with sport. I think a lot of my friends say I was the most persistent person they ever met. I never gave up, and it's something I'm trying to pass on to my kids. I feel like, at times they just give up on things too easily. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, hang on. No, I remember I would just keep going until I was, bloodied and bruised. I wouldn't take no for an answer. So I think, yeah, my sports friends, I don't think they would be surprised that I applied the same thing to music.
Very impressive, though. That means you're a self-taught singer
Mm.
from the
Yeah, I
beginning,
didn't
from
have
the
any
start.
lessons or
Yeah.
anything. I think a lot of singers largely, or at least a lot of artists, I think, ultimately a lot of it is self-taught. I feel like you get a teacher to hone in on certain things you want to improve, but otherwise, I feel like most people who have a genuine passion and love for their craft pursue, that craft and try and get better at it themselves mostly anyway. So yeah, I didn't have any lessons, but I had great teachers in people that I would, kind of sing with and go and gig with, and even in my heroes, my artists that I listen to me, they're all teachers. I copied everything they did, and so yeah.
So it's been 17 years since you won the first ever Australian Idol. You won it in
When I was
2003.
8 years old, yes.
Yeah. And when you felt like when you were 8 years old, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm still, yes,
I
still
mean,
so young.
looking back at that moment, 17 years on, did you ever expect that?
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, I was a fuzzy-haired Malaysian kid, yeah, I didn't expect it. I guess whenever you move to, I moved to a new country. I think when you look different, and at the start I talked different. Like I had a full Malaysian accent, and I'm so sorry. It's my best friend. He calls me 50 times a day. Um, I think when you when you come from a different country, you can sometimes inside somewhere you feel like a foreigner, or somewhere you feel like you're just trying to belong and trying to fit in. And so I think in school I fit in, and I had great friends, but there's always this lingering thing that, and I don't know whether it's just me, but I still felt like I'm not from here. My culture's not from here. My parents are very strict. You know, I had Malaysian upbringing and family members, so I still had that culture. But I was living and growing up in Australia, so to have the whole country get behind me was still a surprise to me,
Yeah.
because, and especially at that time, man, pop music was like, it was all about like Justin Timberlake and like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys,
Mm.
Britney, Jessica Simpson. It was this real beautiful, polished thing where appearance and the outside was so important. And I was like, I was this chubby little kid with an afro, and
No.
I just didn't think I would have the look, you know. And so I was shocked. I was that you know that people backed me and they believed in what I did, and humbled. I couldn't believe it, and I still to this day I don't take it for granted. I love that I get to do what I do for a job, and I'm so supported by everybody, not just here in Australia, but you know, in so many other places around the world. And I'm very lucky.
But what motivated you to want to take part in Australian Idol at that point? Did you think that, yes, I want to take up music as my career?
Yeah, absolutely. I was studying medical radiation at the time,
Wow.
and,
Medical
and
radiation?
yeah, I went to Uni of South Australia, and I was studying, and I thought, what am I doing? Like at that stage, we were doing pracs. I was working at the Royal Adelaide Hospital in like an intern sort of thing for like work experience. And I hated it. Like it wasn't musical, and I literally I hated waking up. Legit, I would wake up and I was like, I cannot believe I'm doing this today. And so it got to a point where I knew I can't live like this. Like I've got this burning passion and this burning desire to sing and to make music. And ultimately I'm stopping because I think that I don't have the right look or something, or whatever it is.
Mm.
Just, and I thought, just go for it. You know, and I quit my uni. Imagine my parents. I sat down and I was like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm leaving university. I'm going to pursue my music." And they were cool, man. They were like really supportive. And I knew inside, my dad was like, "I've taken you to private school for your whole life." Like, so,
It's a typical
but you know,
Asian parent. Like
oh yeah,
you get your studies in first, and then you can pursue
exactly.
your music later, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I said to him, "Look, Dad, if I fail, I'll just go back and finish uni and I'll be sweet." But I had no intention of doing that. I was always going to pursue music. If I didn't make it as an artist, I would have been a songwriter and a producer or something. And so it doesn't. I'm glad I made that change.
Well, I mean, you've been a judge on the X Factor Australia, and you're currently a coach on The Voice Australia as well. Since
Yes.
you have been a contestant on a reality singing competition before, what is it like being on the other side of the fence, so to speak?
Um, it's it's great. Like I love it. I think the fact that I've also been a contestant, I know that contestant is so nervous. I know that to them, something like a song choice is everything, you know.
Mm.
And when I went through Idol, I chose my own songs, and now as a coach, I've got to choose their songs, and I hate it. I hate that power. Um, I would rather leave that them in the hands of, you know, their own destiny. But I have to do it, and so I know that like choosing the wrong song um, is it's incredibly tough for someone who just wants to shine and wants their, you know, they want to be the best version of themselves. And so I feel like I've got that empathy because I've been there. I know how nervous they are. Um, and I also understand the power of that stage. That stage changed my life. It gave me the opportunity to make art and make my music, and that's all I wanted to do. I
Mm.
just wanted a platform to show people what I do, and it gave me that, and it changed my life. So I understand the power, and that makes it, yeah, it makes it quite important, a job for me.
All right. And we've been playing your latest single here on our station as well. It's called Standing With You. It's a
Mm.
song with a very powerful message actually about mental health. Can you share with us a little bit about the inspiration behind this song, the message you want to convey with this song?
Yeah, of course. It was actually I wrote it in LA recently, and it was just before we went into lockdown here in Australia. I had to quickly fly home, but while I was in LA, I wrote this song, and it was inspired actually by my cousin. My cousin, um, yeah, he uploaded this beautiful post on Instagram about his battle with depression, and I was in the Uber on the way to this songwriting session, and I read this post, and I rang him, and yeah, just basically just said, you know, like you know, I've been inspired by your post, and while I was in the session, I wrote a song, and you know, your post actually inspired this song, and now hopefully the song will inspire a lot of other people and move people, and he is just over the moon, and right now actually I'm compiling a whole bunch of letters that people have been sending in, and I mean these letters will break your heart, just what people go through, and you know, their mental battles, and you know, I've got mothers writing in about their daughters. I've got people writing in about their best friends, about themselves, and their own battles with mental health, and especially in this time at the moment, there's a lot of struggles,
Mm.
and I think it's a great time for us to tell each other that we're standing by them and that we're there for them, and you know, I think the biggest message of the song is just to say that we don't have to be qualified, we don't have to say all the right things or be an expert. We just need to be there for one another, and especially people who you know who are going through some dark times, just to say, hey, whatever you need to talk about, I'm here. I will listen. I won't try and have all the answers. I won't try and give you advice. I'll just tell you I love you, and that I'm here for you. And so that's what the song's about.
Such a great message. I'm
Thank you.
just here standing with you if you need to talk, if you need a shoulder to cry on.
Exactly. And if
Mm.
you want to sit and talk, you don't have to stand the whole time, you know.
The next song can be sitting with you. Okay. So
Exactly.
this new single will be featured on your upcoming album. Can you tell us a little bit more about that album? When will it be released?
The album, I'm finishing in, I'm putting finishing touch. Actually, well, right now I'm editing and doing stuff.
Ah,
Um, and this is, I'm lucky enough to have this studio in my house, which is great. And so I'm just recording it at the moment. We're hoping for like a late September release. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, late September. And yeah, can't wait.
looking forward to it, man.
How is it
Thank
doing music in this lockdown period, in this pandemic climate?
It's been okay. I mean, I guess I've had to adapt. I've been doing songwriting sessions in the UK and in LA just on Zoom, which is different. But it's been good. It's actually been really cool. Like I've been able to write, and obviously I've got this great studio, so I've been able to continue to work and record. We just finished filming The Voice, so I've been lucky to be able to do that as well. So yeah, I've just had to adapt and try to, you know, there's no gigs or anything at the moment, so I'm just trying to stay busy and be creative still.
But will you be going on tour like after this
I
whole
will, yeah, yeah.
pandemic
So
settles? Yeah.
next year I'll be touring, and then the minute borders open in, you know, between Malaysia and here, I'll be there. Like I'm making plans to come over and play some new music as well. I'm dying to get back there and dying to play some music and of course eat. And
What's your
Right.
favorite Malaysian food?
oh, you don't understand. I'm obsessed, like properly obsessed with Malaysian food. I think last time I was there, I must have put on so much weight, and I'm only just starting to lose it all now.
Now, what's your advice, Guy, to struggling musicians out there?
Um, Look, I think it's a very it's a difficult time right now. I think it's and it's different for every musician. You know, like I I really struggle with not being able to be in front of people. That's how it's like cutting off my limbs or something. It's I
Mm,
live to perform in front of people and get that contact with people. It's not the same over Zoom. It's just not the same. I think when you talk to a performer, they're born to perform. And I think largely because we love seeing how our art and our music affects people.
mm,
Um, and if we can't see that, it's I think a lot of musicians can lose purpose. And I think my advice is just to know that there's still a huge purpose in art and creating art, and we have to adapt. You know, I know that largely we have to ride this out. You know, we have to just ride it out. It's a unique time and it's unprecedented, and we have to find the positives. You know, take that time to be creative and learn and perfect your craft. And you know, I've been doing things that I didn't have time to do, and even just in the studio, learning certain tricks and little things that you know, some software and things like that I didn't have time to discover. So, you know, we're forever getting better as artists, and we have to use this time wisely.